First, remember not to get complacent on the SAT. Yes, most of the questions say the same things, and the question stem will just be asking the same thing over and over again, like, what's the main idea? But sometimes it's like this, where if we miss one word, we're going to change everything about how we think about it. Which statement, if true, would most directly weaken the claim by Karen and colleagues about the fossils found in China and the United States? This one's also unique because I feel like it's specifying what we're supposed to focus on in a way that's a little different from most of these support weaken questions, but let's take a look at the passage, you'll see why. This person recently discovered a cache of jellyfish fossils in the Burgess Shale, a site in the Canadian Rockies that is rich in fossils from the Cambrian period. Karen and colleagues claim that these are the oldest jellyfish fossils ever discovered. So that's not the claim that we're interested in, right? Because that's about the ones in the Rockies, not the ones in Canada, China, and the United States. Continuing, in the past 20 years, 2 sites in China and the United States have yielded fossils of a similar age that some experts believe are most likely jellyfish due to their shapes and the appearance of projecting tentacles. But, important word, but Karen and colleagues argue that the apparent tentacles are in fact the comb rows of, I don't know how to say that word, ctenophores, I don't know, gelatinous animals that are only distantly related to jellyfish. So, first of all, the claim that Karen's making, right, is they're not jellyfish, okay? They're not jellies. But we have to weaken that claim, right? So wouldn't the weakened claim then, my dumb summary, is that they are jellies? Something like that? Right? That's kind of my dumb version of it, right? So let's see. All right, choice A, sites in the Canadian Rockies from later periods than the Cambrian period have yielded fossils that have been conclusively identified as ctenophore fossils. I don't know what that's to do with this, because isn't this the wrong place? Right? The whole point that we're trying to focus on is that these ones in China and the United States, what's their deal? Right? So why would the other part of the world have any effect on this? So I don't really know why this matters, but maybe this is a good example of a trap that if you are focusing on the wrong claim, then you would maybe pick this, right? Because, well, I still don't know. This still doesn't seem to be related to the fact that this guy, Karen, thinks that he's found the oldest jellyfish fossils, but let's keep going. B, the fossils found in China and the United States are so poorly preserved that though they cannot be conclusively identified as jellyfish, they cannot be conclusively identified as these other things either. Well, it's not exactly what I predicted, right? I kind of want them to say that they are, in fact, jellyfish, but okay, maybe this is another way to do it, because if his claim is that they're not jellies, they are these things, these whatever, the fours, then maybe another way to weaken it is to say that they're not the 4 things either. So this is just being flexible, right? The whole point of a dumb summary is we get some sort of idea, but as we go through the choices, we might start to realize that maybe there's other options, but we still, have some rough sense of what we're looking for, I guess. So this does seem to maybe weaken it in some way. It's saying that they're not these other things. I don't know. I like it better than A, certainly, because at least talking about the right part of the world. Let's look at C. While these fossils have been discovered in China and the United States, they have never been discovered in the Burgess Shale. Again, I don't care where they're from. The whole point is, what are they, right? Are they jellyfish? Are they these ctenophore things? I don't know. I don't care about the location, really. I know that that's kind of a big part of the passage, but it's not really the question or the claim that we're supposed to focus on. It's just, what are these things? So this is wrong. Probably for the same reason A is wrong, but let's continue. D, the fossils discovered by Karen and colleagues in the Burgess Shale were better preserved than the fossils discovered by other researchers in China and the United States. But the claim that we're interested in is not about how well preserved they are. It's what are they, right? So I don't really care about any of this. So this is a great example where my dumb summary didn't quite match exactly what the choice is saying. It's still in the same realm, and I'm glad I thought about, first of all, whatever this guy Karen's claim is, and then how we might weaken that. So I'm glad I did a little bit of preliminary work here, but I also realized that none of these other choices seemed related to the claim at all. And maybe if nothing else, even though my dumb summary wasn't quite the same as the answer choice, it allowed me to think about the right piece of the passage. And so now all these other choices just seem totally random to me because They just have nothing to do with the claim that I just spent a couple seconds focusing on. So that's why you don't really need to understand everything from the passage. But these support weaken questions do direct you to a specific sentence. You still need to read everything just to get the full context, but you should really be focusing on whatever the question is telling you to focus on. Here, I think if we do, this is supposed to be a hard question, but the only thing that's hard about it is, I guess, I don't think any of the other answers make sense. So I feel like I'm confused and maybe missing something, but B's the answer. So just, I don't know, trust the process, I guess.